In a quiet town where life seemed simple and the sun shone golden over hills and houses, there lived a boy named Liam. At 12 years old, he was smart, sensitive, and a little shy. He spent most of his days imagining adventures in far-off lands, reading about brave explorers and the mysteries of the world. His mother, Sarah, often smiled fondly when she saw him tucked away in a corner with a book, his face lit up with curiosity. But in the past few months, Sarah had noticed that Liam's usual brightness seemed to have dimmed. Liam had started at a new school, and though it was only a short walk from home, it felt like a world away from the comfort and warmth of his family. School was where Liam felt the sting of being different. He was smaller than some of the other boys, more interested in stories and the wonders of science than sports or roughhousing. This made him a target. At first, it was just teasing, comments about his love of books, his glasses, or the way he was always alone. But the teasing soon turned into something much darker. There was a group of boys in his class who seemed to have taken a special interest in making his life miserable. They would corner him in the hallways, shove him into lockers, and call him names that echoed in his mind long after school had ended. Worse still, they would sometimes wait for him after school, catching him off guard and pushing him to the ground. The bruises on his arms and legs were the marks of their cruelty. But Liam said nothing. Not to his teachers, not to his classmates, and especially not to his mother. Sarah, who had always been so attentive and loving, had already been through so much. After losing Liam's father when Liam was just 5 years old, she had struggled to raise him alone. But 2 years ago, everything had changed when she met Tom. He was kind, hard-working, and had a warmth that put Sarah's heart at ease. Liam liked him well enough, though their relationship was not the instant bond one might expect. Tom never tried to take the place of Liam's father, but he made it clear that he would always be there for him, no matter what. Despite his kindness, Liam had kept a distance. It wasn't because Tom wasn't a good man, he was, but because Liam didn't know how to fit him into the space left by his father. And so, their relationship remained a quiet one. They spoke kindly to each other, but never about anything deeper than dinner plans or school. But Tom had noticed that something was wrong with Liam recently. It started with small things. Liam's shoulders slumped more, he didn't look up as much, and his once cheerful greetings had become muttered words. One evening, Tom noticed a slight limp in Liam's walk as he came in from school. It was subtle, but there. Tom didn't say anything then, but he kept watching. Each day, something seemed off, whether it was the way Liam avoided eye contact or the way he flinched slightly when someone touched his arm. One day, Tom decided he needed to talk to Liam. After Sarah had gone to bed, Tom approached Liam's room and gently knocked on the door. "Liam? Can I come in?" Tom's voice was soft but steady. Liam was sitting at his desk, pretending to do homework, but really, he was just staring blankly at the pages. He hadn't expected Tom to come in, and for a moment, he felt a surge of panic. Yeah, sure," he muttered, closing his notebook quickly. Tom stepped inside, sitting down on the edge of Liam's bed. He looked at the boy, trying to find the right words. "You've seemed a bit different lately," Tom began carefully. "Is everything okay at school?" Liam froze, his heart pounding. He didn't want to talk about school. He didn't want Tom to know. "Yeah, I'm fine," he lied, hoping Tom would drop the subject, but Tom wasn't fooled. He saw the way Liam avoided his gaze, the way his shoulders tensed. "Liam, I know something's going on," Tom said, his voice kind but firm. "You can talk to me. I won't tell your mom if you don't want me to, but you don't have to go through this alone." Liam's throat tightened. He wanted to trust Tom. But the thought of telling him about the bullying made his stomach churn. And more than anything, he didn't want his mom to know. She had been through enough already. But as he sat there, feeling the weight of the secret he'd been carrying for months, something inside him broke. "I'm being bullied," Liam said quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. Tom's heart sank. He had suspected as much, but hearing the words from Liam was painful. "How long has this been going on?" he asked, trying to keep his voice calm. Liam shrugged, looking down at his hands. "A few months, I guess. It started with just name-calling, but now they hit me. Sometimes after school, they wait for me." Tom felt a surge of anger, not at Liam, but at the boys who had been hurting him. But he pushed it down, knowing that what Liam needed now was support, not anger. "I'm so sorry this has been happening to you, Liam," Tom said softly. "You don't deserve this. But you don't have to handle it on your own anymore. I'll help you." Liam hesitated, his voice trembling. "But you can't tell Mom. Please. I don't want her to worry." Tom nodded, understanding the weight of Liam's request. "I won't tell her," he promised. "But I want to help you. Maybe we can talk about how to deal with these guys. And if it gets worse, we'll figure something out, okay?" Liam nodded, relieved but still wary. He wasn't sure how Tom could help, but it felt good to have finally told someone. Over the next few weeks, Tom became Liam's secret ally. Every evening, after Sarah had gone to bed, they would sit together and talk about what had happened at school. Tom would listen patiently, offering advice and support without judgment. One evening, Tom suggested something new. "I used to do a bit of boxing when I was younger," he said casually. "Maybe I could show you a few moves. Not to fight with those kids, but just to feel more confident. Sometimes just knowing how to protect yourself can change everything." Liam wasn't sure at first. He didn't want to fight, and he didn't want to get into trouble. But Tom wasn't talking about fighting, he was talking about self-defense, about standing tall even when you're scared. And slowly, Liam started to believe that maybe he could learn how to stand up for himself. In the evenings, they would practice in the backyard. Tom showed Liam how to block punches, how to move his feet, and how to stay calm in the face of aggression. It wasn't easy, but with each practice, Liam felt a little stronger. A little more in control, but the bullying didn't stop. One day, after a particularly harsh encounter, Liam came home with a large bruise on his back. It hurt every time he moved, and despite his efforts to hide it, the pain was too much to ignore. He winced when he sat down at dinner, and Sarah, ever observant, noticed immediately. "Liam, are you all right?" she asked, her voice full of concern. "You seem hurt." Liam's heart raced. He couldn't let her know. He had promised himself he would keep this from her. "I'm fine, Mom," he said quickly, trying to sound casual. "Just a bit sore from gym class." Sarah didn't push it, but she kept watching him closely. That night, when she was doing the laundry, she found one of Liam's shirts, blood-stained, with dirt and sweat marking the fabric. Fear gripped her heart, and her mind immediately jumped to the worst possible conclusion. She stormed into the living room where Tom was reading. Her face was pale, her hands trembling as she held up the shirt. "What is this, Tom?" she demanded, her voice shaking with fear and anger. What happened to Liam? Tom looked up, confused. What do you mean? He asked, standing up and looking at the shirt. These bruises, Sarah said, her voice cracking. He's been coming home hurt, and now I find this. What's going on, Tom? What have you done to my son? Tom's face went pale. Sarah, I would never hurt Liam. You have to believe me. But Sarah wasn't listening. Her mind was filled with images of Liam coming home, limping, wincing, hiding his pain. I trusted you, she whispered, tears filling her eyes. How could you, Mom, stop? Liam's voice cut through the tension. He had been standing at the edge of the hallway, listening to everything. His face was pale, his eyes wide with panic. It's not what you think. Sarah turned to her son, her heart pounding in her chest. Liam, if he's hurting you, he's not. Liam cried, stepping forward. Tom's been helping me. I've been getting bullied at school, and I didn't want you to know because I didn't want you to worry. I made him promise not to tell you. Sarah froze, her breath catching in her throat. The realization hit her like a wave, washing over her, and she felt her legs go weak. You've been bullied? For how long? Liam looked down, ashamed. For a while. I didn't want to make things harder for you. Tears filled Sarah's eyes as she reached for Liam, pulling him into a tight hug. Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I should have seen it. Liam hugged her back, his own tears falling. I'm sorry too, Mom. I didn't mean for this to happen. Sarah looked over at Tom, her guilt and fear melting away as she saw the pain in his eyes. I'm sorry, Tom. I should have trusted you. You were just trying to help. Tom shook his head, his voice soft. You had every right to worry. But I would never hurt Liam. I love him, Sarah. I only wanted to protect him. Sarah nodded, tears streaming down her face. I know. I'm so sorry for doubting you. From that day on, things changed. Sarah worked with the school to ensure the bullying was addressed. The teachers intervened, and the boys who had hurt Liam were held accountable. But more importantly, the bond between Liam, Tom, and Sarah grew stronger than ever. Liam no longer had to carry his burdens alone. With Tom as his protector and his mother by his side, he began to feel stronger, braver, and more loved than he ever had before. Liam no longer saw Tom as just his stepdad. He saw him as the father figure he needed, the man who stood by him in silence, offering strength and support when he needed it most. And Sarah, seeing the love Tom had for her son, felt her heart swell with gratitude and love for the man who had become more than just her husband. He had become Liam's true father. Together, they formed a family bound by trust, love, and the understanding that no one should ever have to face their struggles alone.